Thank you for watching this presentation. We'll be walking through our analysis and recommendation in regards to the Bank of Canada's monetary policy decision. The bank acts to regulate credit and currency in the best interest of economic life of the nation. Its primary objective is to maintain price stability, utilising the overnight interest rate to keep inflation close to 2%. As shown in the graph I produced, the monetary policy instrument has remained fairly consistent over time, and that indicates strong credibility and the bank's ability to contain inflation expectations. There are evident two dips in the GFC and the COVID pandemic, which did not reach the zero lower bound, implying the overnight rate was effectively used. A key reason the Bank of Canada sets the overnight rate within an extensive range is the target is adjusted on 8 fixed dates a year. This allows the target to align with current economic circumstances, and hence the bank adjusts the overnight rate to maintain stable inflation while supporting economic growth and financial stability.
The Bank of Canada relies on the overnight rate to influence borrowing and spending. In 2025, higher unemployment and slower growth indicated weak demand, whilst inflation has eased below 2%. These conditions suggest the economy has excess capacity, and the bank may move towards gradual rate cuts if weakness persists. The main domestic conditions include fluctuating unemployment rates, inflation dynamics, and policy outlooks.
Canada monetary policy is influenced by an external factor that are trade policies and energy prices and global prices. Firstly, the US trade policy is uncertain and is keep increasing. Because most of Canada trade is with the US, the higher tariffs increases cost and reduces export prices, and can also reduce the value of Canadian dollars. And a weaker dollar can increase the import prices for household. Secondly, the energy prices. Lower oil prices reduces inflation by reducing the petrol and the transport cost, but they can also reduce the energy revenues. Thirdly, the global growth. If a global growth increases only slightly, foreign demand for Canadian goods only increases slowly, which limits exports and GDP. So overall, the Bank of Canada should consider these factors when setting the policy's rate.
As a result of international and domestic factors, the aggregate demand curve shifts to the left. In terms of consumption, economic uncertainty and slowing global growth have reduced consumer confidence and household spending. The Bank of Canada responded by cutting rates by 2.5% in September 2025, which was the first cut since March 2025, to ease borrowing costs and support a weakening economy. In terms of investment, declining consumer spending is reducing business revenues, which slows investment and stagnates business innovation and growth. In terms of labour markets, skill shortages are worsening, unemployment is rising, and the output gap is growing due to a decreased productivity level. In terms of net exports, this sector is showing the largest aggregate demand decline due to US tariffs and trade policy changes, falling oil prices, and reduced Canadian export revenue, creating a deadweight loss. While Canadian to US dollar exchange rates are temporarily benefiting customers through cheaper products and increased disposable income for Canadians, Canada loses all overall revenue as consumer surplus isn't maximised. The combination of decreased consumption, investment, and net exports is driving the leftward shift of the AD curve, prompting the Bank of Canada to cut interest rates.
When considering the current domestic and external conditions, the aggregate supply curve is also shifting to the left. This is due to businesses experiencing skill shortages and limited business growth. US tariffs have also increased production costs in many sectors, which has led to higher prices for consumers, leading to a decline in business confidence and investment. Overall, the current conditions will result in the aggregate supply curve shifting to the left. The ISL and PC model can be used to analyze the leftward shift of the aggregate demand and supply curves. The IS curve will shift left due to higher unemployment and decreased spending, which will decrease equilibrium output. The Phillips curve also indicates that increased unemployment reduces inflation. However, there are inflation risks associated with US tariffs that need to be carefully considered. Therefore, if current conditions persist, the Bank of Canada should lower the overnight rate to 2.25% to support economic growth. But if uncertainties surrounding US trade policy remain, then the bank should hold the rate steady to observe its impacts before making further cuts. Thank you for listening.